Like, to me, the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, with Marvel moving forward, with the MCU, with the multiverse, with all of this fun stuff, with all these fun possibilities here, it really accelerated for me personally after watching Loki. Like, a lot of my friends and a lot of people that aren't super into Marvel were like, yeah, Loki's cool, but like, I don't know. It's not like the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand the implications, the connective tissue. You don't get it. You don't understand. Because to me, I was a little bit shaky on some of the things that were happening in the MCU. I was like, oh man, I really hope they're not like abandoning certain ideas or certain, possibilities. And it was always a question after 2019, the breakup, the very public breakup between Sony and Marvel, on how much things would connect, really, and how much Peter would be involved in the multiverse moving forward, right? So let's get into this report. This is on the direct here. It says Waldron in touch with the Spidey writers. Okay, Michael Waldron was the lead writer for all intents and purposes. He was the showrunner of Loki. He is also the writer of Doctor Strange 2 Into the Multiverse of Madness, and he has a massive deal at Disney. He's said to be also penning Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie if that ever happens. Okay, so let's read here. Loki head writer Michael Waldron sat down with the Playlist podcast to discuss Marvel Studios' plans for using the multiverse. When asked if he was consulted on the work of other MCU movies like Spider-Man No Way Home while working on Loki, Waldron confirmed that he did, admitting that the teams are constantly communicating to make sure that you're not screwing each other up. Opening up about his interactions with Spider-Man No Way Home, writers Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, Waldron spoke on how it benefits the projects when this kind of collaborative opportunity is available. Your producing teams are constantly communicating with those producing teams to make sure that you're not screwing each other up. I had the benefit on Spider-Man No Way Home. Chris McKenna and Eric Summers wrote that. I was their writer's PA on season 5 of Community, so I can call McKenna and get bullied by him whenever I want, but also say, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? Let me make sure I'm not ruining it. So there's communication to the extent that the creative teams themselves, the filmmakers, the writers, whoever, can become friendly. It certainly benefits the projects. Okay, let's read on here. I'm sure they'll talk about just some of the other connective tissue. The MCU is more connected than ever. The MCU has always been recognized as the standard for movie franchises, with numerous interconnecting stories working towards one overarching narrative. Phase 4 is looking to take that concept to an entirely new level, and it appears the ever-elusive multiverse will be one of the biggest tools used in that endeavor. It only makes sense that Waldron had so much communication with the writing team for Spider-Man No Way Home, especially since that film will be the first after effects of what went down in episode 6 of Loki. I think that might be What If, actually. While branches of the multiverse started forming as Kang moved forward to rise to power, realities will begin coming apart at the seams, with at least 2 timelines finding their way to Tom Holland's Spideyverse. This will continue with Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness, which also boasts Waldron on the writing team as the MCU drives further into madness over the coming years. Communication appears to be one of the biggest keys making all of this work, with so many teams going all in on the same end game for the imminent future. All 6 episodes of Loki at Disney Plus. Okay, so pretty freaking cool, man. Now, look. We knew that Michael had been doing this. We likely knew that he was communicating with Spider-Man and what was going on with all of them. But I think that the really important point to sort of nail down is that Michael is seemingly a huge pillar or a huge part of what Marvel now intends to do. I think Feige sort of always had this vision, right? Where he was like, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll bring everybody into the multiverse. We're going to have a ton of fun with the multiverse. It'll allow us to open different things up. But this all sort of happened, over the course of 2020, and where there was a lot of changes. I've talked about this like so many different times, but I'm telling you, I've heard there were many shakeups to what Marvel's plans were over the past 12, maybe 16 months. It began in October of 2019. This was when the Sony fallout happened, and Feige totally restructured things for where he wanted to go. But more or less, that plan still existed, and a guy like Michael Waldron came in with Loki and with Sam Raimi to develop Into the Multiverse of Madness to really just create an incredible story, a sort of driven narrative, not just plot points that will really enrich our experience of sort of going through these beats into the crazy, crazy multiverse stuff. I mean, Michael's been talking a lot in different interviews. Like he was talking about how you have to find like the soul of the characters and the relatability to the characters. That like no matter how crazy or kooky things get, and they really are opening up, that you have to remain true to what brings people to these characters in the first place, and that's that relatability, right? Like, so that's really the charm of the MCU, and it's just so cool, man. Spider-Man is a huge mystery, okay? I mean, at this point, I feel like we almost know everything that's going to happen in the movie, so I almost feel bad saying it's a huge mystery, but I think there are still a lot of mysteries. They film multiple endings. They might be doing stuff with reshoots. Who knows exactly? But more or less, we know these other Spider-Man and the interactions of these timelines is in part because of Loki, right? Again, after Loki, I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter, I'm not 100% on this, but one of the major trades reported that Tom Hiddleston as Loki will return in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. To me, that might be like Doctor Strange is dealing with stuff that he thinks, like, he doesn't understand the full scope of it in Spider-Man No Way Home, right? He's doing something bad happens, and then they're like, oh, crap, we got to deal with this Spider-Man threat. I did this thing for Peter. I shouldn't have done it, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know if he'll know the full extent of, like, oh, now Kang is destroying, other timelines. Things are going nuts. Things are converging, et cetera, et cetera. Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness seems like that will be a little bit closer to maybe that chaos and that crazy stuff that's happening. And that's when I think Loki may come in and explain the TVA, explain Kang, explain some of the bananas things that are going on. But another important element to this, and this part's really fun, is Quantum Mania. I think Quantum Mania has been in Feige's mind an anchor of the craziness that he wants to tell moving forward, and where obviously we're going to see Jonathan Majors as Kang next. Some people are indicating that you're going to get 6 years of Kang as like a Thanos-like threat, and a lot of wild stuff that's going to be happening is going to be connected to Kang in the MCU moving forward. And so you start to see this through line and thread, and I remember that the writer of Ant-Man, or at least one of the writers of Quantum Mania, used to work in the Rick and Morty room with Michael Waldron, and I know this because it was him who commented on Michael Waldron having the gusto and the swagger to take Star Wars to its next level, but he didn't know if that would jive with Kathy Kennedy's regime and everything that's going on over there right now. So I don't know, like, for me, all of this stuff just works together to get me really, really excited again about the future and where we're going. And this Michael Waldron guy, like, Feige has this really great ability to identify crazy talent that he thinks will work well within his system. The Russo brothers are an incredible example of that. Taika Waititi is an incredible example of that. Like, he's good at grabbing these people. And Michael, I'm just telling you, like, Michael is the truth, and I'm feeling pretty freaking hyped if you didn't know. So the connections to Loki, Spider-Man, Quantum Mania, Doctor Strange, all of that connective stuff, pretty fun stuff. Let me know what you think about it in the live chat here or in the comments. I think we might clip this out for the tubes. Let me know what you think about it, okay?